Welcome to the official podcast of the National Pickleball League, where we go inside the NPL.
Welcome to Everything and the Kitchen Dink, where we go inside the National Pickleball League. My name is Michael Hammer Mike Chen, and I'm here with my co-host, David, the Professor George, and my two missing co-hosts from last week, Rick Ripskin Witsken and Jen Bone Crusher Gallwas. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Wow, I'm glad to have you guys back. It was hard just talking with me and the professor and the Boca. It was like, we needed some more entertainment. And because David was kind of flat.
By hard, difficult, you mean how awesome it was? No, it was nice to have him back a little bit. And did you see how he introduced me second now? Sorry, Rick. He used to have a big man crush, and now maybe I'm moving up in the world.
Yeah, obviously.
He won some big games, as you know, in Houston. So my man crush has gotten bigger with David. And he's my teammate going to championship on the Kansas City Stingers. We're going to rock. And I might have him back as a roommate, by the way. I had him as a roommate once. It was okay, in Kansas City. But, I might have you back for Cincinnati. I'm debating it, David. So,
all right. I thought in the pre-production we weren't going to talk pillow talk. I thought that was more intimate between you and I.
Yeah, you guys like those romances.
We would let Jen and Rick talk a little bit, like we wouldn't dominate with our pillow talk.
Well, I was going to talk about the pool party that Jen Gallwas, you and I were at in our last event, but should I leave that?
Yeah, I'm glad. Just put it this way: I'm glad we deleted those videos.
All right, good point. Well, welcome, Rick. Where have you been?
Boy, I sure have been missing out. Scandalous seniors, if that's what I'm understanding here. But the reality is that I've been coaching a middle school team, and getting all of our schedules on the same page isn't so easy. But I do want to give a huge shout out to the Boca team, who played amazing in the championship there at Houston. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the Houston team, who did a really nice job of playing host to our event. The Friday night party was amazing. Yep. And I just cannot wait for the full on postseason championship in Cincinnati in a few weekends. So super stoked for all of that.
You're discounting the Columbus Hotshots, who came in second. They're going to remember that you didn't mention them going into championship weekend. They got some big boys and big tough ladies and big boys on the team. They're out to get you, Rick. I think after not calling them out for being a good team.
Well, I just was simply mentioning the champion, because usually what I've done with my second place medals and trophies is I throw them in the pond. But if it means a lot to Columbus, then they can go ahead and chew on those if they want to. But the good news is I love the Columbus owners and really good friends with their players, obviously Headings and Bagby and company. So they're not going to be too mad at me. But ultimately, when we think about, the parity in this league, you can't just say Boca's going to win hands down. You can't say Columbus is going to get second or first. No way. I mean, every team within their own right has an opportunity to hopefully bring all of their players totally focused and lay it on the line. And my Indy team, is not very high in the rankings, but I know nobody wants to play us. And I think we could beat anybody because we know how to win. We won the championship last year, in case you guys forgot. It's been 4 shows since I've reminded you.
It's only been 4 shows.
It's a new record.
2.5 minutes.
4 minutes and 45 seconds.
And it's
let's go.
You broke your own record, Rick.
And it's only been 4 shows since you remind us of it, because you haven't been on the last 4 shows. That's why.
Yeah. Well, I guess Jen prompted me before we got on this to bring that up. I just felt like I have to listen to Jen, because I typically listen to the ladies on the show more than the men.
Smart. Well, he's smart.
You're smart as long as Jen stays on camera, because the last time she could zigzag between her and the kitchen like 8 times. I could never see Jen.
My dog was having issues. Sorry. She's old.
I know. Well, she can hang in there, can't she?
She's going to today.
All right, good. Well, good. Well, glad you're back, Jen. We're going to be friendly to you for now. But Jen, as you know, you play for the Austin team, the Austin Ignite, right?
Ooh,
and you are playing Kansas City in the first round. So we're going to have to kind of not be so nice to you as we get closer to Cincinnati. Do you think you're going to play tough against the Stingers? What do you think?
Well, we finished Sunday afternoon with a head-to-head matchup, Austin, Kansas City. It came down to, I think, 2 points. Connie and Chris lost 11-10 in the third. I was playing on center court for my first time. It was so much fun with John Hostetler. We secured ours in two, and then we heard the cheering as you guys, George and several other players so rudely had taken off their uniforms, their shoes. They were up 6-0. DK came and told us all that they had done that. All of a sudden, you should never do that. That's, we started chipping our way back, and had 1 point been different, tiebreaker. So
it's called a team breaker, by the way. Team
breaker. What? Okay, team breaker.
You've been hanging around with Michael too much.
What?
Right? Because you've been hanging around with Michael too much because that's partially true. All right. So I did take my shoes off. It's kind of odd. DK pointed at me and using me as inspiration. Like, look at that guy. Where were your top players? Were they around with their shoes off? Or did some of them actually leave the facility?
I have no knowledge of that.
Okay, see?
I was worried about my match.
Partially the truth.
Wow.
I was playing against my team. I partnered with Natasha Nuri for Chicago Open, and I'm playing against her in Sod with John Hostetler. I was just worried about my match. But if we had to go to a tie, to a team breaker, DK could fill in. He's a great player.
Who's missing, Jen?
Weinbach.
Wow, what happened? Like, he's one of your top players. Why was he missing?
I think he had a flight that was a little bit earlier.
Listen. In transparency here, I actually had a beer when my match was done, not realizing that we could get to a team breaker, and we got the team breaker. So I actually had an alcoholic beverage before my match, and I don't recommend that for people 50 and over. But
you didn't do well. You didn't do well, I guess, in that team breaker. But I hope it was a Fat Tire, because a Fat Tire is our sponsor.
Fat Tire.
And it's the beer of choice.
Indy's waiting to show our dominance in team breakers for the championship weekend, because I think we're like 0-7 right now, but we're going to establish our first victory in championship weekend. You heard it here first right now. Indy will win a team breaker championship weekend.
Who do you play first?
Play Princeton.
Okay.
I'm not saying which team. I don't know. I'm just saying we will play at least 3 matches, and we will win a team breaker.
Okay.
That's great. Well, before we bring our guests on again, I just want to thank our sponsors, right? And we have a lot of great sponsors. First of all, Gamma, the official ball of the NPL, right? The Chuck ball. It's been holding me up great this year. Like, amazing how that ball has played well. I love that ball, and I play that ball back home. So kudos to Gamma, the Chuck ball. And then Gearbox, which I love, the elongated power paddle. Boy, it helps me hit those really high lobs, as you say, right? I can't hit those 50-foot lobs without the Gearbox paddle, but I use that elongated power paddle to do that. So thank you, Gearbox, for helping me hit my lobs higher than anybody else.
Michael, did Gearbox pay you a lot of money? Yeah, because they should, because they've managed to turn a 4-0 player into almost a 5-0 player. So if Gearbox can do that, that's the best advertisement you can get.
No. They don't want to be known for moon balls.
Wow. All right, let's keep moving on. We talked about Fat Tire.
Incrediwear, our sponsor.
Yes.
I'm going to say
baby.
All right, let's go to Incrediwear. Thank you, Incrediwear, for the active wear, the compression wear. It's great.
Best
a lot
product.
of our MPL wears it. Keeps us healthy, right? Keeps our blood circulating.
Absolutely.
So awesome. So thank you, Incrediwear.
Great product.
Ernie, right?
The
ball machine. Our CFO, like Sonia, she's getting better. She's, she was a 3.5. She's getting close to 4.0, and she used that Ernie ball religiously. What a great way to train, to get better. And then, like I said, Fat Tires. After Cincinnati, I guarantee you I'll be drinking a lot of Fat Tires, win or lose, because it's going to be a competitive tournament, right? Fat Tire, the drink of choice after you play a grueling day of pickleball. But what do you start the day off with, Rick? You know what you drink, right? In the morning?
Oh, baby. Julian coffee. Number one coffee in the world. The Julian coffee.
Without question.
You got it, right? Great coffee. Great person, Ken Julian. Love him. He's getting better as a player in our league every day.
Yes, he really is.
And a great support of our league. And thank you for providing Julian coffee to start our day. And then we had a couple new sponsors this past week, right? One was DexScan, right? Which scans your body to check out for any disease, chronic. It's a great way of preventive scanning. And us as being 50-year-olds, we got to think about our health. And here's a way of being proactive. And so we're going to learn more about DexScan, but they sign up to be the official, health scanner of the National Pickleball League. Right. And then finally, we might as well bring our guest on to talk a little bit about him. Right. Yobo, right? Who gave us all these massage gun. And we want to bring on our guest speaker of this week, David Wells, who plays for the Naples JBB United and is also president of Yobo. Welcome, David.
Let's go.
Hi, everybody.
Let's go.
Good afternoon.
Well, they say I talk too much, so I'm going to ask you one question, and then I'm going to shut up and let everybody else ask a question. But I just got to ask you one question. Like, you look like an athlete. You can't see your whole body, but you look like a stud. I hate to say, I have a man crush on all these guys. But,
Another bro.
Yeah, but,
Oh my God.
but he is.
He ditched me for David Wells already.
And he's a pretty funny guy, too, because when you talk to him, he's a pretty funny guy.
Oh, yeah, he's funny, all right.
Yeah, he's funny, and he's athletic. What sport did you play growing up, and why did you convert over to pickleball? Like, a lot of jocks, I'm not playing pickleball, I'm playing tennis or other sport. But what sport did you play growing up, and why did you convert it over to pickleball?
I was a high school and college lacrosse player, and I actually got into pickleball while I was in Mexico with a buddy who wanted to play, and I had no interest in playing. And the next thing I know, 4 days of pickleball, I got home and I had a court at my house. And 6 weeks later, I knew right away that this was going to be kind of like golf, what golf was to me for the last 20 years. Yeah. Pickleball is overtaking golf.
Yeah.
And if you're super special, you are invited to play over at his house. So let's go around and see who's played at David Wells' house. Yes.
Wait, who hasn't?
Oh, wait, which one of these?
Now, what's a funny story is I actually reached out to Michael while I was in Westchester, New York, to get some games going. No response.
Yeah, I didn't think you were good enough, but after you kicked my ass this weekend, now you're invited. Now I'll play with you. I was like, David Wells, he doesn't know how to play pickleball. He's just like Jock who doesn't know how to dink. Because I saw in the combine, you could hit the ball well, but dinking, but your dinking's gotten a lot better. So
yeah,
kudos to you.
Been working on my dinking. Rick's got some good dinking drills.
Let's go. You're right about that.
You two play against each other head to head?
Michael and I did, yes.
Yeah.
Who won?
No,
I just said he kicked my ass.
Okay,
yeah, I did.
So it took in three games, but he kicked my in the third game.
Let's get some facts straight. Michael did Ernie me.
Michael
Ernied me. It was a great shot. I did get him in the groin area 3 times. We could check the videotape.
No, I close, but not quite.
In the area, and we did pickle him in the third game.
You did pickle me in the third game.
Wow.
He did.
But Michael's serve was, we played in the other facility, and the ceilings were 50 feet high, so he was able to get him really high.
It was a good win. I can't wait till a rematch, though. But David, speaking of rematch, you guys didn't do so well this year. You beat me, but you guys going to surprise us in the playoffs? Like your regular season was kind of. Is it peak for the playoffs? Is that all you guys are going to do?
So not to make any excuses, but we've not really had our full team available for any of the weeks. As you know, our top 2 men were out this past week in Dawson and Onsens. And so we moved around and stuff, and we actually lost 5-7 to Kansas City. So it was close. And I think we finally found some pairings that will work. So, not saying we're going to win it all, but I guarantee you we'll win our first match against the team that's going to overlook us. So, because right now everybody's overlooking us.
So,
wow.
David and Jen, this is where we got to jump in because Michael said he was only going to ask one question. Then he goes on for another 30 minutes. So let's the 3 of us just jump in here, okay? Can't let this get out of control. David Wells, I'm glad you're here. You are a great ambassador for our league. Your generosity and what you gave the players in the swag bag in the last event weekend, and then also something to come in Cincinnati is going to be amazing. Thank you to you. Thanks to your company. And by the way, all of us seniors need those Theraguns and everything, the bands and everything. We need that because I train a lot, David. So you taught me a lot for that 1 hour training session we had, because that was like my only session in the last 6 months. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You know, David, I have a nickname for you, David Wells, that is, and that is CP30. And I call you that because you've got a cold plunge ice bath in your basement, which is a lovely basement. And I feel like you keep trying to coax me into that. And I kind of would like to do that at my own pace, not really to show off for you that I can last for 4 minutes when you only go for 3. But the 3-0 is because you look about 30 years old. You obviously are doing things right. Michael's right. You're a good-looking guy. You used to be a model. I know more about you than these other panelists here. But I just think, you are a great look for our league. But the one thing I think about you more than about 95% of our players, a lot of players tell Michael and Beth and I, they love the league and they're appreciative. But you can tell the ones that have it in their head versus who has it in their heart. And I mean this. Like, I can tell that.
Is there a question, Rick, you have for him, or is this a monologue? You're gonna
Michael, do you have the mute button on yours? Because people have been listening to you for the last 4 episodes, and they're like, Rick, you got to get Michael out there and get back on, please. So, my question is, do you feel like there's a love for the NPL that's maybe deeper than just playing in another league, and why is that?
Without a doubt. It's funny, I knew nothing about the league, and David George, Jen, and Paul Zickert used to post on Facebook and Instagram about this league that they were in, and they would put these highlight reels, and there were dozens of people around the court, and they just raved about how much fun it was. And so I actually reached out to David and Jen saying, I want, what's the process and yada, yada. And so obviously I went to the Florida Combine, and that's where I first met Rick. And, I was trying to ask if I could bring JW to the practice session, and I had to ask David to ask Rick. And so that turned out okay. But, I saw a lot of the competition, and there were some people that shouldn't have been there, but most of the people there were way better than I expected. I remember watching Natasha, who won the Natasha Lynn play, and I remember saying, I was like, I couldn't believe how athletic a lot of the women were. So fast forward, I was waiting on the draft, and they went through the first 10 teams, and I wasn't drafted, and I had to leave, and I came home all sour, like I'm not getting drafted. And then thankfully Bob with Naples had drafted me, and I didn't know what to expect. And the first event was in Chicago. And within 20 minutes of being there, I was like, this is the most amazing, because everybody there, again, there's nobody ever talks politics. Nobody ever talks about what they do for a living. It's all about pickleball and the passion. And, oh, if you come to town, look me up. Would love to get, you're creating a network of people to play pickleball and to share life experiences with. That has been the greatest part about it. I love walking around when I'm not playing and just watch other people play or say hello to other people and go around and like, wow, that guy's got an amazing shot. And I can't believe how athletic this person is. Whatever it is, I'm there all day. My team, Bob's, obviously one of the nicest, most generous owners that we have. And our team all like each other. We're all having fun, and we haven't won a match yet. So that tells you something about the league.
Well, it tells you something about your team, right? That you guys love each other, even though you haven't won too much. But I love that fact. Sorry, I can't keep my. But anyway, just answer that question. Just answer that question. What makes your team so special that you get? Because usually winning breeds success. In your case, even though you haven't won, you guys have done it.
So I'd like to go through real quick the people, because nobody on Naples has gotten any shout outs on any podcast or anything. But, other than Jaime, who obviously everyone knows is one of the best players in the league, Tom Tuller, obviously a very unique player. When you see his style, he just dinks and resets. He will never attack, and he always counterattacks. He's won 5 or 6 Pod 1 matches. So he's been incredible. You know, we got Tom DiCaprio, who was in the league last year. Him and I have played a lot of close matches together. Scott Tingley obviously has been around, and he won some big matches this week in Pod 1. Eric Alvarado, obviously, you know, the human highlight reel. You know, Joe Malacca was in the league last year too. He's like the biggest cheerleader on the team. He's been out a few matches, but he's a deadly lefty. And Steve Dawson, obviously, I don't know if he'll be available in Cincinnati because his dog bit his calf out. I don't know if you've seen that, but he had a pretty bad injury. And our ladies have all been super. Laura Charles obviously is like the MPL. I want to say mascot, but she's just got the best energy out there. Ambassador. She loves the league. Her and I always arrive early Thursday. We're always drilling together. She can play 10 hours a day. You know, Sally Smithley, Mary Helen Atkins, Electra, Carol Emanuel, Christy Kind, and Melissa LeBlanc, all are great players. All have won Pod 1 matches. Carol Emanuel beat Dane Gingrich with Jaime in Chicago in a Pod 1 match.
Wow.
So the team is great. And, you know, I think we found some matchups in Houston that are going to help us once we bring Steve and Jaime back as well. So we'll see. But we're having a blast. We're having a blast.
I do want to say that Mary Helen is an incredible player. We know Jaime's amazing. And obviously my team's not doing so well, but we're competitive and we have a really good time. I love my team. Obviously, Jen, your team's not at the top of the rankings, but you guys seem like you're nurturing a nice chemistry there. That's what I've seen of late. Just Mary Helen she's one of the top women. She hasn't gotten a lot of attention. What could you say about Mary Helen, David, that you've seen this year?
First of all, she's a fierce competitor, but you would never think that when you meet her because she's very subdued, quiet, very just super nice is the best way I can describe her. And when you see her on the court, she turns into another person, super athletic. And just very supportive of all the women on our team. She's coaching all the women throughout all the matches. And she's just a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, I had the opportunity. She was my teammate last year. And so I looked up to her. She'd come out there and say 3 C's, Jen: confidence, consistency, and what was the last one?
Confusion.
Yeah.
Confusion.
So I got to play against her this weekend and we went 3 and it was just such a fun match, but boy, we won that second game and she had changed everything the third game and you know, they won, but she's just so patient. She wants to win. She hustles out there and has so many different shots. So she's just, you know, her and Christy played great, but just great teammate. You guys have such a nice team, such nice, wonderful people, really.
Yeah.
To pick up on Mary Helen a little bit before Michael goes in, the first time we agreed is when he said he couldn't help himself. And I'm like, well, we actually agree on that because I don't think you can.
Cow. Wow.
So this conversation today goes a lot differently. So if we were up 6-5 and it was our mixed match at the end against Naples, Mary Helen was so locked in. I've never seen her so locked in. And I was a little bit nervous. I didn't really care about the team or the outcome. I cared about you, David Wells, teasing me relentlessly if you guys beat us for your first win. And it really came down to just a few close points. And I was so impressed and kind of scared at the same time of what could have happened.
That's where you made those cheating calls of the balls that were in that you called out.
I've been saving it up all year. You know, I pretend like I'm a nice guy, but really I'm just saving my bad calls for when they matter the most.
Right. Smart. That's why you're the professor.
That's right.
In fairness to David, I've played him a ton and he's very fair on the court. It's usually his partner that's doing the obstruction. David, I wanted to mention what a cool thing your leader got to do by not playing the NPL event. He was the captain of a Davis Cup team, and that's an incredible accolade for him.
Yeah.
And he was the coach of the Olympic team too.
Wow.
One of the coaches for the Brazil Olympic team this year.
That's incredible.
It's amazing.
That's incredible.
And you know, I gave Bob Stroman a lot of credit on a Zoom call, just how he's kept his team in such a great spirit, and Indy really the same way. Austin, OKC. The beautiful thing is even though we know we're low on the rankings, I think we still have a nice team that's nurtured positivity and relationships, and that's all super important. Is it true that Jaime, when he was overseas being Davis Cup captain, was texting you guys for your event?
Oh yeah, he was checking in on us. There was a little time difference, but we were informing he was checking in with us. A funny thing about Jaime is he actually came in. I picked him up at the airport when he came to Chicago for the Chicago Open, and he was hungry. So we went to Portillo's, which is a very famous Chicago hot dog place, and we went through the drive-through. And he's like, "Oh, I just want a hot dog. I just want a hot dog." All right. So he orders the hot dog. I'll give you 3 guesses of what he ordered on the hot dog.
Ketchup.
Ketchup is 1.
Nice
Rick, you
guess.
know this, so you can't say.
I know this. I won't say.
Chili.
Relish.
No relish. What'd you say?
Chili.
Mustard.
Chili.
No chili.
Mustard.
No.
Hot peppers.
Cheese
Cheese, I said
and
that.
mayonnaise
Ooh.
with ketchup.
Interesting.
Listen.
Did they
Yes.
kick him out of the store? Like
No, they questioned him at the drive-thru because the person said, "I've never heard anyone put mayonnaise on a hot dog before."
Yeah.
And I watched him eat it, and he loved it.
I have to say, I was last year was my first year. I'm new to pickle. I'm wearing these knee braces. I had an injury. He's the number 1 guy in the league. I'm not even on his team, but this is someone that has literally, some people at the top have big egos, and he talks to everyone. I'm just brand new. How are your knees? Jennifer, I take this. He suggested something I should try that helped him, actually helped. And just like that, he's paying attention. He comes to the Friday night things. He's not too cool for school. He's just, to be that good, that humble and kind is just, that's a trifecta. So what a great, it's so amazing to have him in the league. And
It just shows how other cultures are way better than most of the American.
maybe that's it.
Jen, when you got in there at the after the Portillo's story with Jaime, I thought you were going to actually talk about Portillo's and your late night cheeseburger, fries, and Diet Coke.
Okay, I
I'm
like
not going to
Portillo's
mention
a
that.
lot. I love cheeseburgers. They tease me all the time. But yeah, I don't go to Portillo's for hot dogs. I go for a cheeseburger.
David, there's one thing that you were mentioning. I want you to go a little deeper into this because you and I were talking about your draft experience, and you're watching this on the TV, and you were there with your daughter, and you were kind of feeling like, man, I don't see my name. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So now I know how NFL guys that are sitting at home that are going in the 5th and 6th and 7th rounds feel, because every name that going into it, I knew there were only about 32 players that were not either drafted, signed men, right? Because there were like 64 players that were going to be drafted that weren't is kind of how we looked at it. So, as everyone is going down, I think it was down to 13 guys left. And I was at Ron Saslow's house, who's a big pickleball guy. And we were playing, and I was watching it on my phone, and it got through the first 10 teams. And I was like, okay, I'm not getting drafted. So I left. And I came home, and my daughter was sitting in the kitchen, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, nothing. She's like, "What's going on?" I know. And I went up to my office, and I'm like, "I didn't get drafted." And I just turned on the live stream, and Bob had just come on and just said, and David Wells from Riverwoods, Illinois. And then I kind of, let out a little shriek, we'll say, and super excited. And my daughter was going crazy, running around, grabbed my wife. It was nice. It's nice to be included in this league, and it's forced me to work on my game a lot. Especially the short game, the slow game, and I'm drilling probably 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. So it's definitely has gotten me motivated to get better.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it showed, like I said, all credit to you, the way you played against us in Kansas City, and you played great against me and our team, and kudos to you for the amount of talent, not only that's come from not being like, hey, I'm just going to outmuscle anyone, I'm going to outpower someone, but the fact that you had such a great short game just shows that, the game is not just about power and speed. The game is about strategy and finesse and putting it all together. And I think, David, you got all kidding aside, I think you got so much more potential that I'll never make it out of pod 3, but I think you have the potential to make it out of pod 3 and pretty quickly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just saying to those people that did not unfortunately get drafted this year. I mean, sometimes it's just by two people are equal, but maybe they didn't meet their owners or they didn't go to the combine. I would say try again, like come to the combine again this year. Keep practicing because it's, some people get injured. They're not in it this year. There's always, so just because you did it this year, like keep, it's hard. These owners are like, so many people are so even, but maybe they, know somebody. So, it doesn't mean that you won't next year for those people that unfortunately didn't make it in this year.
Yeah.
When I think about meeting you, David, for the first time, and you brought JW Johnson out there and I played with you, my initial thought was, man, this guy's athletic, and he bridles and harnesses his exuberance and athleticism. He could be really great. And then I saw you play in the combine and you had like 3 or 4 footballs in one game.
3. Let's not say 3.
But I literally thought between you and Natasha Lynn and Keith Jane, I really didn't know any of you. Like, boy, the combine is a beautiful thing. Like Jen saying, like to get recognized and, you really can make hay there. And you did make an impression on me when I didn't know you. Granted, I don't own a team, but our input matters. And I thought, man, this guy could be really good. He's super athletic and fit. So I'm glad to see you putting in the time and that you've committed. Obviously the court in your backyard and your wife. It's fun to talk to her about your obsession with pickleball because, she's supportive of it, but I'm not sure she sees you as much as she'd like.
Yeah. Well, David, that's such a bad thing for her. Sorry, Dave.
No, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the fitness aspect, and then if you transition a little bit to your company.
Yeah, sure. So I've always, I wouldn't say I've always been in shape. It's genetically, it's been a little easier for me. And then when COVID hit, and nobody was going to work, I feel like people either decided to get in shape, or just sit at home and do nothing. And I was like, there's no better time than now to try to get in shape. So, I've been working with the same trainer, for 5 years, 4 days a week. I'm a big cold tub guy. I'm a big sauna guy. And I try to eat 80-20. So I just, I kind of live by, if it's from the earth, like, meats, fish, chicken, nuts, grains, rice, fruits, vegetables, try to do that 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time, eat the Haagen-Dazs, pint of ice cream and, whatever it may be. Because realistically, that stuff's enjoyable. So, it really started over, and it's just discipline and consistency. I never miss a day. I always go in the cold tub, whether I want to do it or not. And it's just, I really think it's discipline. And, I coach kids, high school lacrosse boys. And my message every day to these kids is I wish I had the discipline now that I had when I was in high school. Because those are the guys that are going to be super successful, because whether it's their work, their eating habits, whatever it is, kids that have discipline, and it just transcribes through everything they do. So in 2021, again, it was kind of bored, and I decided to come out with a product that would help people travel in sports. Because in golf and pickleball, I use like a big Theragun, and I just couldn't take it with me in my bag. So I kind of designed this Yobo massage pistol and made it in 8 different colors to help support 15 different charities, and did that for a couple of years. And, it was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do with this next? And I was kind of like thinking of other things to do. And it came up with the band, obviously David knows, he's a big user of my bands. I came out with the bands about a year and a half ago, and was using that to help people warm up their lower bodies. I've had chronic back issues for most of my life. And I figured out that, my glutes weren't firing. So my back became, which is a stabilizer muscle, your lower back, it became like a major muscle, and it would go into spasms, and I would be out for weeks. No pickleball, no golf, couldn't even get my shoes on. So I started working with my trainer and we started doing these exercises. So then it kind of dawned on me within sometime this year that there really is no regimented workout that people can do that's quick and easy. There's so many people that are telling you to do so many different things, but most 66% of injuries that happen in all sports are because improper warm-up and your muscles aren't and your joints aren't ready. So it's avoidable, most of it. The other is fatigue, and the other is also avoidable, but the other is the fluke that, you trip in your Achilles, and, those things are unavoidable. But we came out with a 5 to 8 minute routine using 5 different products that everyone's going to get in Cincinnati as well. And It's just lower body, upper body, your arms. There's a gyro ball that I'm telling you that everybody is going to love. I know Rick was using it. I believe David and Jennifer have used it, but anyone that we've sent them to has reached back out and said that they can't stop using it. It helps prevent tennis elbow. It will strengthen your wrists, your forearms. It will get your shoulder loose. So our goal is to kind of make the P90X of warming up. We call it Activate. So there's an 8 at the end. It's no more than 8 minutes. And we've worked with the strength coach from the Cubs and the Detroit Tigers to help develop it. And we've showed it to about 24 pro players in Chicago, and they've all raved in one way or another how they're going to incorporate it. So my goal is to help the MPL keep its players and limit the injuries. But if you knew, I like to give this example a lot with goggles. If you knew in the next 100 matches that you were going to get hit in the eye, you would all wear goggles all the time, correct?
Yeah.
So if I told you, if you knew in the next 100 matches you're going to get injured because you didn't warm yourself up the correct way, why wouldn't you? Because, our slogan is prehab beats rehab. And ask Beth. Beth's been out the whole season, right? And again, not for lack of warm up, but fluke. But again, 66% of injuries are avoidable if you warm up correctly. And obviously Jen, whose career is based on this, and her and David do a lot of these videos with having to do with warming up. So that's the goal, is everybody incorporates the Activate or some type of warm up using our products, and they'll increase not only their recovery, they'll feel better after, but they'll be able to play better.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. And that's the benefit of being an MPL player, right? You get all these goodies, these extra goodies you don't get anywhere else, like these training goodies. And we give lots of other gifts as well. And the other thing you talked about, you also get a lot of coaching from the top players like Jaime, right? He helps coach his team, makes you better. So one of the exciting things for me as a Pod 3 player is getting the coaching, getting the learning, watching these top players play, but also having these goodies like the Yobo. Like, yeah, we all want these things, but we might be lazy and don't order them. But coming to MPL and getting these gift bags of how you can become a better player is another benefit as well.
And I was watching, I think, Chris Heading talking to Jim Bronson on Columbus last week, and I couldn't believe how cerebral Chris Headings was talking to him, Jim, about, he was talking about the player on the other side, that he likes to slide 2 feet to the left when the ball's in the middle, just certain things that you would never really think of. And I was just like, wow, I got a long way to go in this game to get to where I'm thinking, again, I recognize people's weaknesses, but this was a whole nother level. And, I know Dane is very big into that, and like the top players, Rick as well. Everybody is very into, I think, just a higher level of strategy.
And helping out the other players. They all love to help out, which is amazing. Everybody, top players, Rick, Dane, Dave Weinbach, Jaime, all the people you said, Chris Headings, they love to coach.
Well, and getting back to the physical part, we also help each other physically. It doesn't have to be somebody on my team. There's many times that someone's come to me with a physical therapy question. I have physically gone and stretched people, worked on injured muscles. My goodness, we have Cara Beth Lee, who's an orthopedic surgeon. We have lots of physicians. I'm a physical therapist, but we're helping each other out all the time, whether it's your teammate or not. And I'm on the hip preservation team with Athletico. I do sports medicine. And I say all the time, especially with that band, David, train your hips today, strengthen your muscles today, and you'll save your knees or your joints for another day, truly. So it's so much easier to stay well than to try to get well. So, for every age, not just our, Champions Pro group. I mean, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, we're all playing the sport almost too much. I didn't play tennis this often because we're having so much fun. So, we're not doing not enough time. Most people aren't as disciplined as you are, David Wells. So we're not getting into the gym, but we have to, even if you said like 8 minutes max, we're asking for 5 to 8 minutes. I say, put that band by the TV or in your bag, 2 minutes. If you do band walk for 2 minutes, that glute med, the outer part of the hip, is so important for your knees, for your low back. So it's just, as we get older, we have to work on strength training. It's imperative. So thank you.
I'll throw a different wrinkle here. Practicing with David was super fun for me. I felt like sometimes he was a little too uptight on the court. So we put on some 80s music, the best decade of music. We started enjoying. I'm like, hey, man, you start enjoying this process and enjoy being out there more, smile some, get a joke around. Your game will take off too. So I think all of those things combined are what's super healthy for everyone. I have one last question for you, David. Is it true you have a dog named Izzo?
It is true. And he is named after Tom Izzo. Go Green.
Okay.
Wow.
That's my neighbor's dog, Michigan.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, David, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for Yobo for being a sponsor and believing in the league. Before we go, I have one question. I know you think Naples is going to win the first round, which is great. And you're playing Seattle. Do you stand by that prediction?
Oh, we didn't know who we were playing, but yeah, I do stand by that prediction. And nothing against Seattle. Seattle whipped our ass twice already this year. But, we're all, the abilities of the players in this league is from top to bottom is like this. Yeah. So at some point, we're going to have our day, and it's got to be in Cincinnati.
All right. Well, I love that confidence. But assuming you guys aren't going to win it all, pick the one team that you think is going to win the championship.
I think that, honestly, just because I think they have the best women in the league, I think Columbus is the team to beat.
Columbus.
And I like Boca. I think Boca, Houston, Denver, Kansas City. I think every team, Austin. But those, I think Columbus, I just think their ownership is great. I think their players really, really gel. They've been playing together. The same people have been playing together pretty much all year. So, I know Bronson and his doubles partner, I forgot her name, but they whipped us. And they're like 17-3 as mixed partners. So, and that's their pod 3. So I just think that they, when they're playing their best, they're a hard team to beat.
Yeah, I think that's who we'll have to play after we beat Kansas City is Columbus.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, we'll save your predictions for later, right? But Columbus does have a great team on. We love Jeff and Paul McKnight. Their team, all the players, so good on the team.
Yeah, so nice.
They're a team to watch. I agree with you, David. We'll hold that prediction for and see what happens. But thank you so much, David. We enjoyed having you on.
I appreciate it. And
thanks for our presents.
Yeah, you got it, guys. Thanks so much.
Can't wait till Cincinnati to get our present.
Yes.
So that's great. He's a great guy. Gosh, he super guy.
He was on our Chicago Pickleball League team. It was.
Was he? Yeah. He's gotten. I mean it. He's gotten so much better than when I saw him in the combine. He has the full game now, and
he's training like crazy.
Yeah, he's trained. You can tell. Training proves it. So
I always liked him. I always thought he was a good guy, but now that he gave Michael a little ribbing, I like him so much better.
Oh, hey. When are you going to be on the same team?
I like him. I only like him. I don't love him anymore because he didn't mention Indy's name once at the end there. Predictions.
He even pulled a Rick and started naming like 6 teams, and you're just like,
hello.
I think he didn't pick Indy because you had a bad week against Boca this past week. I think that's why I didn't pick you guys this week.
Oh,
well,
just saying.
We're missing our number 2 male and female. We will get them back for the championship. Just saying, we know how to play shorthanded in the regular season to be there for the championship. Just saying, we'll see.
Hey, listen, I just want to know who here's beat Boca besides Austin? Twice we played them. Once was a tiebreaker and once we won. So I'm just saying.
So if we beat you and you beat Boca, does that mean we're better than Boca since Kansas City beat Austin?
You gotta match up. Every match has to match. You know how pickleball is. You know, every match.
Well, we'll have our predictions coming up in a couple of weeks, but for this week, give David credit. He gave a lot of credit to his players. Tells you what a great team and a great owner they have for them not to win that much this year and still have such a great cohesive team. So,
and he named every team.
Yep.
And really, Michael, if we think back to last year, Austin, OKC, and Indy were the cream of the crop last year, and we're not the cream of the crop this year. So I like seeing the parity in our league, and that other teams are experiencing that, and I think it's great all the way around.
Yep. Well, we're going to have some more exciting podcasts coming up leading up to championship weekend in Cincinnati. So stay tuned. But for now, on behalf of my co-hosts, Rick Ripskin Witsken, Jen Bone Crusher Gallwas, David, the Professor George, this is Michael Hammer Mike Chen saying thank you for listening to Everything and the Kitchen Dink, where we go inside the National Pickleball League.
Thank you for tuning in to the official podcast of the National Pickleball League. Please stay tuned as we will be back soon with our next episode as we go inside the NPL.